Hello everyone, it is the Garlic Bread Warlord, Nick Aliffi, and this is a Soccer Over There hot drop. Yes, I know you were promised a Soccer Down Here, Soccer Over There mashup like the Avengers, and that's what you were really hoping for today on this Championship Monday, but you're not getting it. And I know, look, it's like Christmas. You open up this big box, and inside it's some Fruit of the Loom underwear and some socks, and you were hoping for a Nintendo, and it didn't happen. I'm sorry. But I have to take a moment to salute John and Jason and Jarrett for the work that they have been doing for the past week leading up to the MLS Cup final, because those guys, and they're not going to say this because it's like tooting your own horn, and that's just not something they necessarily do very well, so I'll do it for them. These guys live and breathe soccer in a way that you're not going to see every day. And Jason might actually end up editing this part out, and Jason, if you do, I'm going to know. I'm going to give you a little bit of backroom baseball here, okay? Give you a little bit of knowledge that you may not know. Oftentimes when Jason and I are discussing, okay, what time are we going to do soccer over there? What are we going to talk about? I say, well, let's do this time. Does this work for you? Yeah, that works, but I'm going to have a hard stop at this time because I have another show that I'm doing after this. And then, then I have this other show that I'm doing. It's all the time. He does this 5 days a week for all of us, right? Jason, John, and Jarrett with Soccer Down Here. And then in the evening, they're doing, this random team from, out west wants to talk, or this team from Canada wants to talk, and they just do it. Because they love spreading the word about what's happening here in the Southeast with soccer. And I'm just telling you guys that if I sound like I'm out of it, a little haggard maybe, the voice is not sounding right, that's because I've been screaming my lungs out for the past 48 hours. And, it's every bit of it's worth it. And that's really what I want to lead into with tonight's show. And I scoured the Twitter and I see random sports stations here or there trying to chime in on the MLS Cup final. And look, if you're a Red Bulls fan or an Orlando fan, don't turn off the show because I promise it's not going to be all Atlanta United. But I will say this, that there's a station here in Atlanta called 680 The Fan. And they have a couple of guys, these yahoos who work there, called Buck and Kincaid. And Buck and Kincaid essentially made reference that Atlanta United's win means nothing. Right? And if you're an Orlando fan, you're like, it means nothing. But they're not saying it because Atlanta United has been on the field for only 2 years. They're saying it because they're completely disrespecting the sport. They're saying Atlanta does not care if Atlanta United hoists this trophy, that some magical curse has been broken, that somehow this will lead to more titles for the city. And the thing is that you're hearing this also from people in Europe, right? These random writers who chime in and say, oh, well, your club doesn't have history. Well, AC Milan was founded in 1899. That's history, but history's relative. Okay? Who decides what history is? Anyone? Anyone want to chime in what history means? Is it 3 years, 5 years, a decade, 200 years? Because no matter what you do in life, every success you have will be met by people who want to bring it down a level. One of my favorite Ric Flair promos is the Golden Spoon, right? Just put in YouTube Ric Flair Golden Spoon, and I promise your whole life will change for the better. And that's because Ric Flair has this moment where he says, it's the old adage that everybody wants to hear you're doing pretty well, but nobody wants to hear you're doing better than them. And everything you do in life, you're going to have people who live that creed to the fullest. They all want to hear you're doing pretty good. They don't want to hear you're doing better than them. And right now, if you look in Europe, you have teams going bankrupt and they're going away, or they're being bought by somebody with monopoly money who just runs the club into the ground, or you're in South America and your team is running a riot in the streets because, well, the other team just happens to be rolling into your city. And these things are not happening in the U.S. We have a safe, stable league. Yell and scream about pro-rel all you want. And yes, the Colorado Rapids would probably be in the relegation conversation because they don't spend any money, as with the New England Revolution. Hopefully that changes. And you can hate Atlanta all you want, but understand the money that's being spent does not have to be equaled by your team. Spend it wisely. I know people who are richer than all outdoors and they don't have anything to show for it because they spend all their money on stupid things. Well, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm going to go to the club, get drunk, get hammered, just drink your money away. Okay. Then you have the middle class guy right down the street. You know what he's doing? He's driving a nice automobile, right? Got a very nice house. He's doing things the right way. He's spending his money wisely. Just because you have a ton of money doesn't mean you spend it well. Look at Europe. It's all over the place. You have a ton of money and you spend it like a goon and you have nothing to show for it. Look at PSG in the Champions League. All the money that they're spending and they have nothing to show for it. Right? It's the same thing here in MLS. It's no different. The team jerseys change. The logos change. The fundamental truth is be careful where you spend your cash. Grandma was always right. Be careful where you spend your money. Save more than you spend. And life will be better. All right? So getting back to Buck and Kincaid. When they talk about this, and they talk about the sport not meaning anything, right? That, it's just soccer. It's like lacrosse, right? And here in Atlanta, a lacrosse team won a title. And I'm not going to sit there and bash on them because they won. There are a lot of teams out there, a lot of cities out there that would just absolutely love for even the lacrosse team to hoist a trophy. And that lacrosse team has been unbelievably supportive of every other team in this city. They're called the Georgia Swarm. I haven't been to a game, but I'm thinking about it because they're so positive, backing up everyone else. Maybe it's time to return the favor. But Buck and Kincaid don't care about that. And I'm not saying you need to listen to their show and chew them out or go on social media and go nuts and rip them to shreds. I think they're goons. And when I say goons, feel free to substitute whatever expletive you would like. Because I have listened to their show and, oh man, just the old days of SEC football, man. And no, just get over it. It's great. Especially here in the Southeast, you have UGA, you have the University of Florida, you have Alabama, Auburn, LSU. All these fans just pack into the city. Even Mississippi State fans, they're here. University of South Carolina, they're here. But all of them live this divided little, these little sectors, right? They get together with their UGA fans on Saturday night, or they get with their the Tennessee people. I don't know what they're cheering for, but they all get together and they do their own thing. But when it comes to Atlanta United, they all come together. I'm sure in Orlando it's the same way, right? You have FSU fans that live down in that on that part of town. You have UCF fans, but when Orlando City plays, they all get together, right? And be patient. Things will turn around for you guys, right? But the point that I'm trying to make is soccer's a unifying thing, especially MLS, because there's no preconceived loyalties built in. Now, if you live in Portland and you come move to Atlanta, you may bring that Portland Timbers loyalty with you, and if you do, good for you. There were a hell of a lot of them in the stadium. Sure, Timbers Army had their one section, but I saw a lot of green sprinkled throughout that stadium, and I think that's a great thing. And what MLS has is a great thing. We get stuck in this inferiority complex where we have to go to Nux every time somebody says anything bad about us. Just let it go. Doesn't mean anything. I get, do I get a little angry when people say, "Oh, well, Atlanta United, oh, that city has only, 2 years of soccer history." No. My friends, that's not the case. I'm going to tell you a brief story. It goes back to my dad, right? And I've talked about my dad a little bit on the show, and, it means something to me. When Atlanta United took the field in the final, I had tears in my eyes because I thought about all the work that my dad and his friends had put into this game since they were teenagers. My dad grew up in Savannah, Georgia, right? And there's a big port. There's fields all over the place. And if you want to find a game of soccer, it's not hard to do. But in the 70s, you had somebody like my dad, and all you had to want to do was play the game. You didn't have to be good. You didn't have to be in the best shape. You just had to want to play. And if you had that want to play, my dad would kick with you from sun up to sundown. Didn't matter. And so my dad would go down to the port along with his friends, and they would say, okay, ship from Spain, ship from Portugal. You guys want to go play? Let's go. And they would all pile into cars, and they would go down to the fields on Waters Ave, and they would play until the sun went down or until they had a curfew and they had to get back to the ship. And one day this ship comes rolling up, and it's from the Soviet Union, right? And so Dad does what Dad does, and he goes down and he gets these guys and says, "Hey, look, let's go play." And before you know it, these cars are following my dad's caravan to the fields. Then they leave from there, and they go back to the dock. The cars are following them again. Now, my dad gets home and walks in. My mom's waiting on him. Knock on the door. Doot, doot, doot. Dad opens the door. It's a bunch of FBI agents. All right. You were hanging out with these Soviet guys. What did you guys talk about? Did they ask questions? Did they take pictures? And blah, 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 blah. They do the whole, where were you on the night of the 13th? My dad just said, "Hey, man, we just played soccer. That's it." They take any pictures? No, we just played soccer. Did they ask you about any defense installations around here? No, we just played soccer. That's it. At a time when the world wanted to nuke itself, when the U.S. and Russia were just sitting there and counting up how many warheads they had, U.S. and Soviet playing on fields right there in Savannah, Georgia. No big deal. No one wanted to kill each other. It wasn't some Rocky IV deal where you had Rocky and Ivan Drago beating each other half to death and then some impassioned speech at the end. No, you played the game. You enjoyed each other's company. And then everyone goes their separate ways. And that was right in Savannah, Georgia. And then you had, before that, the Chiefs. And then you had all these other teams sprinkled up. And then finally my dad, who watched all of this happen, all this take place, he signs with the Atlanta Chiefs. Number 17. He was a reserve player, right? He wasn't a top flight guy. But he went out and he ran clinic after clinic after clinic. He talked about the one he did in Savannah. 900 kids showed up. And of course, it's Tony Aliffi from Savannah. And oh man, got to get the autographs, right? And so he's signing autographs. Reserve player, signing autographs. I think it's freaking awesome. What I'm saying is that this is not an isolated incident. Not just in Georgia. I'm sure there are similar stories in Florida, in North Carolina, and Virginia, and Alabama, and Louisiana, New York, New Jersey, all the way down. And that's what we have. That's our history. Do we have the legendary uniform of a Manchester United? No. Do we have to? No. So anytime these knuckleheads come on your timeline and start trying to trash the sport you love and the team you love, just let it go. It's tempting. I have skin in the game. I want to go knuckle to knuckle with these clowns all day long. Meet me in the street. We could fight all day. We could fight all night. But it's not worth it. Love what you have. Embrace your team. And now look, between MLS clubs, banter away. Orlando, lob it. Atlanta, lob it. Red Bulls, lob it. But to sit there and get in the history argument, it's mighty stupid. Okay? Don't let yourself get there, okay? Atlanta, Portland, Orlando, it's there. It's ours. Enjoy it and love it. But it's not inferior. Don't let anybody tell you one damn thing about MLS being inferior. Oh, the quality's not good as the English Premier League. Okay, well, how many of them are English? Talk to me about that. Talk to me about how many people in the English Premier League are English. You want to watch good, proper English football? Turn on the Championship. And you will watch awesome, incredible, fast-paced, attacking soccer, brutal tackles. It's amazing, and it's theirs. And love it. If your favorite team is an NPSL team, baby, love that team to death. But don't let anyone diminish what you love. Life sucks, man. I'm telling you. Which bill am I going to be late on this month? Well, what am I going to do here? Oh, I can't go out to eat tonight because money's tight. But I'll turn on the game, and for 90 minutes, I'm gone. I can watch my team play, watch them run, score, defend insane tackles. When LGP does these Maldini-esque tackles, oh my God, mwah, chef's kiss. I love it. It's beautiful. And I go nuts. And then my Italian friends hit me up. Oh, what do you mean Maldini-esque? What are you talking about? This guy's not Maldini. Of course he's not Maldini. But it was a super crisp, clean tackle in mid-sprint. And it's amazing and it's beautiful to watch. Find what you love and stick with it and don't let anyone diminish it, okay? All right. Speaking of things that have been diminished. Copa Libertadores, final, nuclear Clasico, it went Chernobyl. We all know this. We all watch what happened in Buenos Aires when the riot happens and the bus is getting hit by bricks and blah, 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 tear gas, everything horrible about South American soccer made its way to the internets and the television and satellite feeds and everything else you can imagine. But the game was finally played in Madrid at the Bernabeu. Okay. Did you guys watch the game? If you did, the people in the stands, it was a who's who. It was a constellation of stars. There's still another one from Ric Flair. You had Griezmann, you had Ronaldo, you had Messi in attendance. You had all these people there, and because they wanted to see a game where it meant something, and boy, ever did it mean something. The game ended in 3-1 for River Plate. And if you are an Atlanta United fan and you saw what Pity Martinez was doing in that game, boy, howdy, are you happy. But it's not all about Pity Martinez. It was about the fact that it was an undeniably fun game to watch, which I think this really needed. Because Libertadores had a massive black eye. I was ready to write it off. There were a lot of people ready to write it off. And then it sort of turned into this begrudgingly, yeah, okay, I might watch, sure, fine. To finally turning into, okay, I'm really pumped. If you don't know how to watch this, just go get the Fanatiz, right? And that's like F-A-N, is it T-I-Z? Yeah, there you go, Fanatiz, there you go, Fantiz.com. Go on there. If you have Roku, you can find Fanatiz as well. And my friends, just do the 5-day free trial and watch this game. If you're bored on a Wednesday night, just trust me on this. It will improve your life. And that's because it was fast, it was physical, it was absolutely insane. There was an exceptionally soft red card issued to Boca's Wilmar Barrios in the 92nd minute. But outside of that, Dario Benedetto had a run that was absolutely bug nuts. Quintero had an incredible goal. I mean, the Martinez goal was the icing on the cake. The game was already well in hand at that point. But the fact that Boca kept up after the 92nd minute, even with the man down, really should tell you about this game. They were going all out, and I loved every minute of it. Please, get on Fanatiz, check it out. And because we're going to be talking more about Argentine Super League, we're going to be bringing in some of these other leagues, even Serie B in Italy. We're going to open it up. Women's World Cup is happening. We're going to be getting into more subjects. It's about bringing the game back home. So, that right there, friends, that's all I'm going to do for Copa Libertadores. It's over. It's done. It had a black eye. There was a lot of insanity. Let's just move on from that. If you're Atlanta, obviously Guillermo Barros-Schelotto he said he's done with Boca Juniors, and Pity Martinez openly said after the game that he is going to be joining Atlanta United because they were very kind to his family, and they believed in him when European teams would not. And that really says something, right? When you have superstar players bolting from your league, when you have managers bolting from your league, the league is fundamentally broken. So even though we sit here and we talk about how fun games like this are between River Plate and Boca Juniors, keep in mind that there's this very ugly, rotten underside to this. You may or may not want to turn that rock over, but just understand if you're enjoying the game, there's a price. Okay? So just understand that when you have players like this who are leaving, there's a reason. And this is why MLS will be the beneficiary of this, because not every player from Argentine Super League is good enough to go right to Europe. They can go to Liga MX, and they can come to MLS. The quality of all of the above will go up. The quality of Argentine Super League will obviously be diminished, and so you're going to have peaks and valleys in the quality of play for some of these teams, but you have to make things right. You have to try to get that ugly side, that rot out. England was able to do it. Italy has, for the most part, been able to calm it down. There's still a lot of problems there. But by and large, the stuff that you see in Argentina and the stuff you see in Italy, light years apart in levels of insanity. Okay? But one thing that's not broken is the transfer window. It's right around the corner. And yes, Miguel Almiron, that is the subject of MLS talk right now. And that is because we heard of an alleged move for one Mr. Miguel Angel Almiron Real. 15 million pounds, 19 million USD. And boy, howdy did the faithful get restless. Okay, I want to back everyone up here on the dollar amount. The dollar amount's freaking people out. The model that Atlanta United is trying to build is more important than the dollar amount. Unless it is $7 million for Almiron, okay, then you obviously don't take the deal because that's stupid. You bought him for $8 million. You want to make money. 19 million US, you're doubling your money. That's still a good deal. Now, obviously, if you live in Atlanta, you have a far deeper connection to this because you say, well, our man's worth 30, 40 million euro. He's not. I'm sorry. He's not. He's very, very good, but he's not worth 40 million in my mind. But he is worth 40 million if somebody pays it. You are worth what somebody pays for you. Okay, that's the golden rule of transfers. I don't agree with every transfer valuation out there. Some people don't agree with mine. But the important thing for Atlanta United and MLS, because keep in mind the entities are tied, is to make sure that the model works, which means that you go down to Argentina and you tell some superstar, come play in our league for a couple of years, we will make you a star, and then we will ship you to Europe, and you can live out your dreams playing in Europe. But we are the new waypoint for you, okay? We are the new halfway spot. We are the new truck stop. We are the new whatever you want to call it, the rest stop. You can call it anything you want. But you come here and you show out, and we will make you a star guaranteed. And Miguel Almiron, if he leaves Atlanta United and goes over to Newcastle, let's just say it's Newcastle for grins, and he balls out of control, does that help or hurt MLS? Obviously, it hurts Atlanta United in the immediate future because they will miss his talents. But it proves the model works. So when Pity Martinez comes up and starts balling out of control, and let's say Atlanta United ships him somewhere, the next young Argentine superstar or Brazilian superstar will say, you know what? They are a team of their word. They are a league of their word. When I come up there, I'm going to help sell jerseys. I'm going to sign autographs. I'm going to play out of my mind against good, physical, fast competition. And then I am gone to Europe, baby. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? So just understand, the Miguel move is not just about the money. Darren Eales will tell you, I'm not getting out of bed for 30 million, unless it's for 30 million or whatever. He has a dollar amount in his head. I doubt it's 30 million firm. Darren knows for sure. But in the end, we must prove the model works. And Miguel Almiron will be the first legitimate superstar of MLS to leave for greener fields of Europe. And that dollar amount, it won't be sticking in everyone's crawl when the next Argentine superstar comes walking in. Okay? Just believe that, love it, trust it. The transfer wizard, baby. I know what I'm talking about here. It's going to happen. Prepare yourselves accordingly. We'll be good. One move that's not happening, though, Zlatan to Milan is not happening. Leonardo, the director of AC Milan, said that the move is off. And if you remember, we talked about this before. I tried to get it, everybody was like, oh, it's happening. No. I am more than happy to jump on any rumor train, but I'm going to tell you straight up that this move was never going to happen, especially after the David Beckham issue where his ankle pretty much exploded when playing for AC Milan. This is about asset protection. And Zlatan Ibrahimovic has a pretty well reconstructed knee, right? We know this. Zlatan does not play on turf. Zlatan only plays on manicured fields of fescue and Bermuda, and sometimes went to rye when needed. But Zlatan is an older player. Zlatan thinks that Zlatan can play in Europe for another 6 months to a year. Zlatan cannot play in Europe for 6 months to a year. It's just not happening. And there's no reason for the LA Galaxy to risk their one-man marketing coup on going over to Europe to try to prove himself one last time. So the way I think this is going to work out is that they block the move, which they already have, and now the renegotiation commenced with Zlatan. They're going to have to ditch a DP. I don't know who. I wish them the best of luck in that decision because they have so many holes and they have so much money that they need to reinvest that you can drop it, Dos Santos, have a great day, but you still have so many holes in that team that, one DP slot is not going to fix it. Zlatan's not going to fix it. And just like we spoke about earlier in the show, it's not about how much money you spend. It's about how wisely you spend it. So, Zlatan, not happening. Miguel Almiron, that move is almost certain to happen, even though he said he's going to be in Atlanta for the preseason. Just keep in mind that one thing that's going to be happening as well is CONCACAF Champions League. Now, a question I have, and Jason, if you're listening to this, I need this answered on the next Soccer Down Here. The roster rules that MLS puts in place, right? Says you can only have 3 DPs. Now, CONCACAF Champions League, if I'm correct here, that does not exist. Which means that theoretically, Atlanta United could field a team of Pity Martinez, Ezequiel Barco, Joseph Martinez, Tito Villalba. Just keep the names coming, baby. Darlington Nagby, right? Eric Remedi. I just keep the list going. Now, could that happen? I don't know. Jason, answer it for me if you could. But the move's going to happen for Miguel Almiron. Atlanta United's not going to block that, I don't think, unless a cartoonishly low ball offer comes in. And if you see a loan with an obligation to buy, it's going to happen, okay? That's not an insult to you, Atlanta United, if that happens. It's just the way the deal has to be structured. And when I talked about that before, when I talk about loan structuring, it's not just if you're in financial peril from financial fair play. It can also be if you're in a position like Newcastle where you're trying to sell your team and you, the current owner, Mike Ashley, do not want to inherit that deal and say, hey, look, I just paid X amount of money for this player. I don't even own this team anymore. I don't want debtors coming at me for this. So in the end, I want these other guys who are buying the team to pick up the tab. So that's why you can have a loan with an obligation to buy where the player comes in, the agreement is signed, the money's held, and then the new owners would actually be the ones to make that cash transaction. So, will it happen? I don't think so. I think Miguel's going to be bought outright. I have moved Milan off of the list of potential buyers for Almiron. I think that it's going to be Spurs, and I think that Newcastle could sneak in, but it's going to take a large cash deal, which Mike Ashley's not going to pay. So that's my 2 cents. It's the Garlic Bread Warlord. This is a hot drop. It's been all over the place tonight. I know it's been all over the place tonight, but I'm celebrating championships, baby. I'm mentally fried. I've had a great time. I hope you have too. Don't let anyone diminish this for you, Atlanta. And hey, champion next year, whoever you might be, preemptive. Don't let anyone steal this from you. Not on the field, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about on social media and your friendships and your friends who don't like soccer. If they don't like it, tell them to kick rocks. They don't have to like what you like, but you can love what you love without judgment. It's the Garlic Bread Warlord, Nick Aliffi. Mucho, mucho euro, y'all.